Hello, here we go again, this time with class vocabulary. We have 3 words from yesterday: catechist, parapet, and bolster. And I would let them build up for 4 days throughout a week. So we'd have 12 at the end of the week, or by Thursday. Now, before I go into the words themselves, I want to tip my hat to 2 of my mentors, especially Doc Blanchard, Richard Oscar Blanchard. These are 2 of the best teachers I ever had. Doc probably would be the best. Now he's died, and when he died, it was the front line in the Concord Monitor. This was in Concord, New Hampshire, where he taught. But before that, he had been honored when he retired. When he retired, he was very highly honored, and he deserved it. Here's another time that he was covered. Very, very good teacher. He's the one who taught me class vocabulary. Here he is as a young man. In the Italian front during World War II. So I have more about him too, and I used to keep it on the wall in my classroom, a little bit like a shrine, because he taught me so much. I was a 10th grader at the time, and almost certainly because of Doc Blanchard, I became an English teacher. He also went to Harvard. He had trouble at Harvard. He didn't like it. I don't think he never got his doctorate. We nicknamed him Doc because I think he had a falling out, and I think his doctorate was about Henry David Thoreau. A very interesting man. We used to wonder, how did you end up teaching high school? He was so smart. Okay, the other one, Richard Schultes. You see, I've been going through old papers. I'm still recovering from the move out of my classroom of 30-some years and sorting stuff out. Well, this man here, he taught economic botany at Harvard. Probably the best teacher I had at Harvard. Harvard's botanist. He also has died since, but anyway, while I was getting it out, I thought I'd tip my hat to him as well. He was a doctor, of course, Dr. Richard Schultes. All right, class vocabulary. This time I'm going to go to Thea Graybill, her notes. Gradually I'm finding my former students' notes, so I don't have to only rely on Patricia. This was in the year 2001. Thanks, Thea. She let me copy her notes. And she had the word tawdry. I would write tawdry on the board and say, did I spell that right? And she'd say, yeah. So I'd underline it, and I'd say, all right, who can hear what's stressed? The first syllable, tawdry. Again, sometimes the students couldn't hear it. What's the context? The tawdry connections. Okay, what part of speech is it? Well, it's modifying a noun. It's an adjective, sure. And they should get that. Where did you get that? I would say to Thea. And she was ready to tell me. She got that from Angela's Ashes by Frank McCourt, page 236. And she would have that down there as a footnote. Anybody know what it means? And they might, probably not. So finally we'd go back to Thea and she'd say showy or cheap. Okay? And then anyone want to guess where the word comes from? Well, they'd guess all over the place, and I would too. But it turns out that comes from a very unusual place. It comes from the name Saint Audrey, a saint in England, some 400 years ago. And it was something, I guess, that was worn around the neck or something like that. A very unusual etymology. Thank you, Thea, and on we would go. Who else has a word? Well, I'm going back to Thea again. I'd be unhappy if I had to count on a kid all the time, but that's what I'm doing here. An ebullient young official. Ebullient is the word, and I'd write it. Am I pronouncing it right? Yep, ebullient. Who can hear where the where the stress is? And some kids would always get that. Others would miss it. Ebullient. I think there's only, I'm not sure if that's spelled right. She's got 2 L's. Well, I'll leave it that way. I'll check. An ebullient young official. Okay, what part of speech is it? Well, if here's a noun, young, that modifies it. Looks like it's an adjective. It must be an adjective. Yes, it's an adjective. Anyone know what it means? They might, in that case. And then so we'd go back to Thea, and she'd say bubbly, agitated, boiling, not so much water boiling, but with that kind of personality. Bubbly, boiling, agitated, I might add, agitated. Okay, and anyone want to guess where it came from? Or I'd say, where did you get that word? And she got that word from National Geographic, Sydney. I don't know, she made a mistake there. I mean, that wasn't a good enough etymology, but that's okay. Anybody want to guess where it comes from? Well, I would tell the kids, I'm pretty confident. I think I know. And they would guess all over the place, and then I would guess Latin. And it does come from Latin. It comes from the Latin word which means to bubble. Thank you, Thea. Now we go to another, and I'm going back to Thea again, with sallow skin. Sallow. Did I spell that right? Yep. Which is stressed. First syllable, right? I could always check with Thea, because she should have this. What part of speech is it? Well, it's what kind of skin. It's an adjective. 3 adjectives today. Anybody know what it means? They might know this one. You remember, these were 8th graders most of the time. And Thea would say, having a sickly yellowish color. Okay, good. Want to guess the etymology? And I would probably say I'm fairly confident. That OW at the end, it just looks to me like a certain language, and they'd guess. I would say Old English, and Old English is right. But it's related to the Latin word saliva. Okay, thank you, Thea. Now, can anyone put tawdry in a sentence? I think that kid's clothes are tawdry. Okay, good. I wouldn't let him mention. Sometimes they'd mention somebody's name, and I say, oh no, we're not going to mention names of people that we know, famous people if you want, but not people that we know personally. Sure. And I'd get 2 or 3. How about ebullient? Someone raise their hand. I'm feeling ebullient today. And I might say, yes, you usually are ebullient. And we'd use the word a little bit. And I'd get 2 or 3. How about sallow? When I had malaria, my skin was sallow. Okay, good, good. You look sallow today. Are you okay? Okay, good. I wouldn't demand perfection. These kids were experimenting with words. How about 2 in one sentence? Yeah. The teacher is ebullient, but I still think his clothes are tawdry. Good. Good. I hope you're not talking about me. You know, this was a very playful activity. How about sallow and tawdry? Yeah? That guy looks terrible. His clothes are tawdry and his skin is sallow. All right, well, you're using skin with it, but that's okay. That's okay if you want to. You can memorize the whole context if you want. But how about all 3 in one word? Yeah, and you know, I'd have hands going up now because, well, for one thing, they didn't have to work. This involved no homework. They were involved in the action. They could do this. That was quite another matter to see whether they actually came to class prepared. So somebody raises their hand, and the ebullient princess looked strange since her dress was so tawdry, and she didn't look healthy either because her skin was sallow. Okay, fine. Was that a run-on sentence? Not quite. You know, I'd say only one sentence, but that wasn't quite a run-on sentence. And I'd get 2 or 3 other examples, and now we have 3 words. Once again, kind of long today. Tomorrow I should probably only have 1, and I won't feel like I have to go so fast. See you next time.